Senator, quickly, the question here is there are a lot of uncomfortable circumstances, especially security, and a lot of Nigerians who are watching tonight will be wondering what should they expect tomorrow? What kind of hope should they have? You said that your party is giving its best, the president is doing his best, but that best doesn't look like things are working. But you alluded to the fact that things are unusual and unnatural with the security situation and the spike that we have seen. What exactly do you make? Are you insinuating or inferring that there are some hands and some artificiality to the circumstances leading to insecurity we're seeing in Nigeria today?
No, my position is this: first, that I believe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing his very best. Over time, this disease, which probably if it was handled differently, at its inception, for have been nipped in the pod, have been allowed to, like cancer that has got it to stage 4. And what President Tinubu has been doing is to do everything possible. I mean, I have seen, regardless of what people say, and I watch it from from the media, where Evil America commended the Directorate of State Security Services, the DSS, for helping to apprehend some notorious terrorists that are wanted not only in Nigeria but outside the boundary of Nigeria. Now, so don't talk as if the fact that the child has not, I mean, the guy is not back to completely fit to resume play football. It's not to deny the fact that appropriate surgery has been carried out and is still being carried out. Nobody is pretending that it is all over, but let no one deny that progress has been made. Because I was in this country where we were forced to postpone national elections because Boko Haram had taken over and installed foreign flag in about 18 local government areas in the northeast. And I mentioned something that has happened here. So, through your television station, I have watched the number of people who have been convicted. The only worry I have, as far as those convictions are concerned, is that I don't know the power of the judges. We hear the court pronounce, the law says, it shall be sentenced to death if guilty of terrorism, and the judge sentenced to 20 years. I'm unable to understand that. Different judges rewriting the law passed by a parliament, because the business of the judge is to interpret. So those kind of cases, I'm sure the president must be also looking at those, that if you have killed so many people and there you are apprehended, why should any judge grant you any clemency that is not a power in law to do? Only the president can exercise the power of clemency. So, but, however, the point needs to be made that but for serious intelligence gathering and a coherent coordination by the Office of the National Security Advisor, some of these achievements would have been made. The fact that people have renewed this attack this past 2-3 weeks, I just ask myself, are they coinciding? Because it will appear, like I said somewhere else, that as we are approaching election, maybe there are some people like Turaki, is it Turaki or the fashioner chairman of PDP?
Tanimo Karibu Turaki.
Turaki, okay. Karibu Turaki, a former minister who said Trump should come and help him fix PDP. He's reporting PDP leaders to Donald Trump. So, if remarkably that desperate, it's not too much to expect that there might be some of these guys who are so frustrated and in the words of Amici, so hungry of power that they can't survive outside power. Apparently, after they have conquered all the other needs of life, they now just find that they don't have political power and they are hungry. And so, like every hungry guy, they will go to any length to take measures that may appear as we move closer to the election to reopen this kidnapping and targeting of schools, etc., etc. So that's very unfortunate.
So you think that there is an artificiality to what is going on?
For you to also know that the president is not sleeping on this. Besides holding meetings and so on, the president has directed the IG to appoint, to recruit additional 30,000, and I believe that will be the first phase, policemen, to expand the number of policemen that can be deployed to carry out pure police duties across the country. So that prayerfully the armed forces will not be found play the role of the police in different parts of the country. How easy to remove
there
the
are just a few people who were in the room when the matter of APC
I was a city governor. It was at the current vice president office in Maiduguri that we ironed out the final detail with regard to logo and other things that we had to do to form the APC. He came in with a faction of PDP, which they call the new PDP.
How to call it?
So without him, APC was already formed. But that is not what is important. Even the guy who bring one block to the construction of a mansion contributed. That is not the issue. The issue is examine his record of performance.
How?
Look at the crisis in the railway system that he superintended over for 8 unbroken years. He's unable to get the priorities right. Play to the gallery.
How they make
now he rather construct rail, not to Kano, not to Port Harcourt where he come from, but to Niger.
So to say.
Which goods are we sending to Niger?
Was his the sole decision?
He was the minister. And if you are a minister of the Buhari, you will be fair to him, life or dead. That Buhari gave anyone he appoints free hand to do the job he has assigned to you. That is what Buhari wants. For you to understand why Amici is completely empty.
Had made their point clear.
Check the record. How did he become governor of Rivers State? It was purely the creation of the Supreme Court. The very court that he sought to disgrace, to disrespect, and to shut down the Rivers State judiciary. He was he was a stranger to bylaw.
You see, you're underrated and underestimating.
There is nothing to underrate. Which election has he ever won?
No,
in 2015. Wait, in 2015.
But he helped Buhari for the election.
Wait, he did it.
You know
in 2015.
Director General
Let me give you the facts.
He was the Director General.
That is what makes him even more painful. He was Director General in 2015. He didn't even vote for Buhari because he unwisely see that he was being overwhelmed by Governor Wike's forces. He ordered his followers to boycott the election. So he himself didn't vote for Buhari, even though he ended up as a minister for 8 years. He did not vote. He was the DJ of the campaign. He didn't vote. Check the records. That's why I say you should also educate the people. This is a DJ of a campaign who sensitive defeat from Rivers State thought that it would be more convenient to say I boycott the election. Which reasonable politician boycott election where you know that you're boycotting the who stop the process? But he did. So he didn't vote for Buhari in 2015.
I know my mom makes sense to anybody.
But Buhari see
if you hear the record, he's a smuggler.
What of
he asked those who know how he got Buhari to sign a paper for him.
Is it? I said no.
They went for governor's meeting. He came out and he said he got Buhari to sign something for him. He took advantage of the we know about Buhari and he got that. But the issue for me is still the issue for me is that a man who was a DG of a campaign and he did not vote in the election.
Can you take the credit away from the likes of Rotimi Amici? There are just a few elements in the APC.
You list the qualities of his accomplishment. What he has accomplished.
No, we know that.
As I've just told you, his first being governor. Wait, his first being governor, and he comes to my clan virtually my local government every now and then, because he said it was the pastor who had prophesied that he would become governor, even though he was not on the ballot. The Supreme Court has still changed that position anyway. They just dashed him that governorship for reasons best known to the Supreme Court at the time. But look at the way he replied. So what does he accomplish?
The point I'm making
now, the other election,
can you take
as a city governor, he was defeated.
You have to allow a president can rule the country to come on board.
Former presidential candidate Peter Obi is suggesting that he would have welcomed help from President Donald Trump to eliminate terrorists in Nigeria. Peter Obi made the comment while speaking at the 2025 Leadership Forum Conference at the University of Nigeria's Enugu campus over the weekend. Obi stated that it is not right to start debating when someone has offered you something that you have been looking for, adding that as president, a country's #1 priority should be secured. Let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
Please, not genocide. Please, not this. But we, Russians, come ahead. Somebody offered you something you've been looking for. It is not going to start debating. What is it? Oh yes, me and my wife are living. We are hungry. Somebody discovered, oh, Peter Obi and his family can no longer eat. You are saying no, it's not true. And we ate in the morning, but the one of afternoon, collect the food first. What I'll do, I would have gone. Even today you declare me president, I can tell you, number one priority is security of life and property.
All right, Dr. Abati, we've seen diverse views on Trump's intervention. That first soundbite I played from the Fox Radio of Trump calling Nigeria a disgrace was the #1 trend on social media over the weekend. And then we also heard from Professor Wole Soyinka, outrightly rejecting the idea of, military intervention in Nigeria. And we see Peter Obi here saying, if someone offers you help, collect it. Do not debate. Your thoughts on this?
Okay, there have been many views.
Yes.
Based on perception, based on affiliations, based on fears and anxieties and all of that. But President Trump, referring to Nigeria as a disgrace, that the country is a disgrace, wasn't that what he said originally?
Yes.
When he first said Nigeria will be returned to the list of country of particular concern.
Yeah.
Nigeria was so designated when he was president in his first term. And then when President Biden came there, President Biden removed Nigeria, from that designation. Now it's a redesignation. And on that occasion, he had made a point that Nigeria is a disgraced country. Mm-hmm. Well, the Nigerian government does not think that we are a disgraced country. He has repeated the same label, in the interview that you referred to, that this country is a disgrace. But we have had, congressional hearing of the African Committee of the U.S. Congress. Well, even if he says he's coming to Nigeria with guns and blazing, he will need the endorsement of Congress, the approval of Congress. And that's why he has to go through Congress, because he cannot deploy American troops without Congress endorsing. Otherwise, that would be an authorized act of aggression by the American government against Nigeria. Now, as for the suggestion by Mr. Peter Obi, it is on record that the Nigerian government has said we are ready to cooperate with anybody who is offering help, whether it's the United States or it's any other country. That was one of the first points that the Tinubu administration made. And then following up by sending a delegation to the United States, a delegation that have queried its composition. There's only one Christian on that list, and it is led by an advisor, not by a minister. The ministers were just following. Some of the service chiefs that were there, they probably had no business with, but the emphasis was on security and defense,
right,
rather than also looking at the diplomatic side of it. Even the NIA was not part of that team. So, well, they've gone there. Eventually, when we raised the alarm here, that even our national security advisor cannot be talking to a first-time congressman. They found a way around it, and national security advisor Ribadu met with Pete Hegseth, because in diplomacy, equals talk to equals, which was why Ramaphosa says he's not going to hand over to a junior U.S. official at the end of the G20, and he snubbed the United States. Within protocol reasons, President Ramaphosa acted well. So when Mr. Peter Obi says cooperation, pause and reflect and all that, well, the Nigerian government is already going that line. Now, Professor Wole Soyinka has been very consistent in criticizing Donald Trump. He says he's even going to write Idi Amin Part 2, Trump, Idi Amin in America kind of play. And when Trump was there for his first time, he voluntarily relinquish his green card.
Yeah.
Because, it will appear that Professor Soyinka had seen what will happen under the Trump dispensation. And this time around, he has also not stopped criticizing him, either the visa policy or the plan to come and attack Nigeria. When he says he will not take help from a madman, there is a popular saying that even when your enemy offers you food, you don't take it.
You don't take it.
But that's his own perspective. Yes. And there are some Nigerians who are saying, oh, Trump should come. He should come and shoot everybody that is available.
Yes.
But the narrative has many dimensions.
Right.
Even in the U.S., Sarah Jacobs and some of the other Congress people who took part in the debate, some of them are saying Trump is reckless, and they are Americans.
Right.
Some of them are saying he has no powers to go and attack anybody in Nigeria.
Right.
But the residual point is the point made earlier about safety of everybody. And Nigeria has a responsibility. President Tinubu may be saying, well, we have rescued some people. No, it should not be on an episodic ad hoc basis.
No.
Because that's what Nigerian government does.
We want to see
when
arrest.
the government is under pressure, they say we have rescued 50 people. Yeah. We have rescued 38 people in Eruku, Kwara State.
All right.
Nobody should be abducted.
This is it.
All of us should be safe.
Well said.
If all of us are safe, you will not even have to be thinking of withdrawing policemen from VIPs because nobody will need VIP protection.
This is it.
Everybody will be safe.
This is it. I mean, I think one of the things that Peter Obi said in that video was the fact that, the federal government, instead of debating whether there is a Christian genocide or not, should have just immediately accepted the collaboration. That the debate about whether there is a Christian genocide or not is quite unnecessary, which is one of the things that we've been talking about here. Meanwhile, a new video featuring Reverend Ezekiel Dachimo saying that he has been told to stop exposing the government over reports of a Christian genocide went viral over the weekend. Reverend Dachimo made the comments during a sermon, adding that he refuses to stay silent because the government's inaction has endangered Christians nationwide. He also condemned comments made by Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, who alleged on Facebook that a doctor told him empty coffins were being buried to fabricate claims of a Christian genocide. Let's take a look.
Somebody says, Reverend Dachimo, you stop exposing the government, your own government, your country. I say, oh, so I'm now exposing my government in which they are watching me right inside Asoro on social media. Then I say, what of me? That the same government expose us to Fulani killings by refusing to stop Fulani from killing us. They came out publicly and say there's no genocide on Christian. That is another exposed one. Sheikh Gumi, the son of late Gumi, that used to go and bargain with terrorists. He came out and said all the corpses that we buried is a lie, it's only coffin. I've named his name. He must appear in the International Criminal Court of the world to come and testify. I command the grave by the power of Jesus to release her anger, to hunt down Sheikh Gumi wherever he is. He will never know peace.
Well, Reverend Dachimo is clearly not backing down despite the pressure. The question is, who exactly told him to stop speaking out? Meanwhile, Pope Leo XIV has stated that both Christians and Muslims are being slaughtered nationwide. The Pope made the comments on Tuesday last week while responding to a question from the press about whether Christians are truly safe in Nigeria. The Pope responded that insecurity affects all people in Nigeria while also linking it to economics and the control of land. Let's take a look.
I'll answer the first question. I think in Nigeria, in certain areas, there is certainly a danger for Christians, but for all people, Christians and Muslims have been slaughtered. There's a question of terrorism. There's a question of that has to do a lot with economics, if you will, and control of the lands that they have. Unfortunately, many Christians have died, and I think it's very important to seek a way with the government, with all peoples, to promote authentic religious freedom, respect for all people.
Well, the Pope is essentially saying that both Christians and Muslims are being killed. The question now is, will this balanced perspective from the Vatican cool down the heated rhetoric about a Christian genocide in Nigeria? That question, Dr. Vimbai, over to you.
Goodness, it's a heavy question. And, we've been debating this issue for a while now. But I think one of the things that stands out to me is that, Oji, the world cannot even agree whether there's a genocide in Gaza. There are people who have reinforced it and taken it to the various international platforms, and then there are people who still dispute it. So my question is also around the term genocide, because we've gone into a very dangerous place in the world, in society, where the term genocide is trying to be depicted as something subjective, whereas it's an objective term. There's a definition for it. So I think we need to be careful about venturing into the space where we turn genocide into a subjective, oh, he said, she said. The truth of the matter is that there is evidence that there are mass targeted killings. And in the process of these killings, there are also communities, entire communities that are being affected that are not Christian. That's a fact on the ground. So whether it's a genocide, whether it's not a genocide, unfortunately, in this year, 2025, the entire world has gotten to a point where we cannot agree on what constitutes a genocide. That's number one. Number two, on Reverend Dechomo, very unfortunate. His Facebook page has also been taken down, and I believe his take on that, or they're saying that he's alleged of being somebody who is jeopardizing national security based off of the messages that he is transmitting through his Facebook page. And this is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because this is a democracy and people are allowed to speak freely. He has evidence. He doesn't just wake up in the morning and speak. He's not inciting.
Yeah,
he has videos that he shares. He documents. He backs all of his allegations with evidence. So I think it's very important for us not to enter into the realm of silencing people, of censorship, especially people who have their own truth that they are sharing. Having said that, do we want the narrative to cool down? Is it becoming too divisive? Is it becoming too polarizing? Absolutely. However, we're not going to do that by trying to put lipstick on the issues. The only way that we're going to do this is by tackling the issues head on. What are the issues? We've dissected them ad nauseum. Now even Pope Leo is adding his voice to say there are economic issues, there are land-related issues, and this is what we've been saying. We've been saying that from the time there was a drought, from the time climate change started impacting certain places, certain communities started migrating further south in search of arable land. Here in Nigeria, we even introduced the Ministry of Livestock. And the Ministry of Livestock was supposed to try and harness some of these activities around the herding of cows and so forth to be restricted. But I remember when the Ministry of Livestock was now inaugurated, they said that they would need a decade to be able to sanitize the movement of cattle and to be able to create ranches and so forth, which many people thought, so what was the essence of creating this ministry if they're going to tell us that it's going to take a decade to come up with issues, with solutions around cattle rearing and the herders and so forth. So there are so many moving pieces. Earlier in the morning, I also spoke about the fact that we need to also acknowledge the fact that globally, terrorism is migrating from the Middle East because they've taken out ISIS. They've taken out Al-Qaeda. These are groups that used to have over 80,000 fighters. They've been dwindled down to 1,000 fighters. They haven't given up. They've migrated to places like Africa, to the Sahel, to places like Nigeria because they are porous borders, because they feel that the states here have failed the people. So it's easy to indoctrinate young fighters. And this is the place that they feel that they can find rest. So the issues exist. There must be no censorship. There must be no silencing of voices. People must be allowed to express their truth. And the government, in essence, must just do its duty and do its responsibility. And that is the best way for us to be able to tone down the inflammatory rhetoric that is now becoming a little bit too common and consistent, is if people can feel respite. I don't think gagging people is really the way to resolve this current crisis.
Ayo, I'd like your comment on Dachimo, but I'll take this before you come on that. Meanwhile, on Sunday, Pope Leo expressed deep sadness over the kidnapping of priests and students in Nigeria and Cameroon, appealing for their immediate release. The pontiff stated that his heart hurts, especially for the many abducted boys and girls and their grieving families. He urged competent authorities to take appropriate and timely decisions to ensure the hostages' release, while calling on the faithful to pray that churches and schools remain places of safety and hope. Now, the Pope's intervention adds another international pressure on Nigerian authorities to secure the country. Like I said earlier, there are 353 victims still in captivity in Niger State alone, and 24 girls still in captivity in Kebbi State. Ayo, your thoughts on, comments made by Reverend Dachimo, who, stated that he's been told to stop speaking, and the fact that he's angered by the federal government saying that there is no Christian genocide, and he also, condemned Sheikh Gumi's allegations of, or actually it wasn't Sheikh Gumi that stated it, it was a doctor, he said it on Facebook, that they were burying empty coffins. Your thoughts?
All right. Okay, so there's a saying that truth is bitter. In Nigeria, it almost seems like truth should not be accommodated, or there's a resistance, as it were, to truth. What Reverend Dachimo has been saying has been consistent. I have mentioned it a number of times that the reason why the voices won't be silent and why there's this cry around Christian genocide is that the government seems to be paying little or no attention, or at best ignoring the calls from Christians who are living in the middle belt of Nigeria, that's Jos, Plateau State, Benue State. This call was not only made post President Trump's tweet. A number of times, Christians have been calling out and speaking out as to how they have been attacked deliberately. They've been targeted. Churches have been burnt. There have been, mass graves being built with nothing being done. What the Trump tweet just did was amplify the voices of advocates who have been speaking for a very long time. I have said it that if only the government, in response to this, would even, as a show of fact that we are listening, open an inquiry, ask people to come and have an opportunity to really express themselves with the intention to deal with the problem and deal with it. At the end of the day, what people really want is peace. What people really want is a solution. What people really want is the opportunity to express their faith without the fear of any kind of attack or the other. And so what we expect for the government to do for Reverend Dachimo and his likes is, can we offer them protection?
Right.
Rather than asking for them to keep quiet, because we cannot bury truth. No matter how long it takes, it will definitely resurrect.
Right.
And it's what people have been speaking about for a very long time. And Reverend Dachimo is just echoing the voices of people who have spoken for years and years with nothing being done. Can this administration finally fix it?
Well said, Ayo. Meanwhile, the United States affirmed its commitment to partnering with Nigeria in the fight against terrorism following a high-level meeting between U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Nigeria's National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, who stressed the need for urgent Nigerian action to stop violence against Christians and combat the West African jihadist terrorist group. This is as the Director General of the Department of State Services, Adiola Ajayi, briefed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the country's heightened domestic security crisis, including the recent mass abductions of school children. Consequently, President Tinubu ordered immediate withdrawal and redeployment of police officers from VIP escorts to core community policing duties, with security requiring VIPs now directed to use the NSCDC. Meanwhile, amid the efforts, controversial cleric and bandit sympathizer Sheikh Gumi says that no government, including the United States, can completely eliminate terrorists. Let's take a look.
How these are sporadic cases. You can never ever eliminate terror completely. In America recently, one Nigerian killed his father and injured his two sisters. Will I say America is not safe anymore? No. You have sporadic cases. So, but generally the picture is improving. And I think Nigeria should be patient. Things will get better.
Dr. Abati, you know, people are saying Gumi is now a spokesperson for the government. But, you know, his rhetoric about whether or not no government can eliminate terrorists, he even compared the fact that there is gun violence in America. Obviously, that is, you know, considered terrorism in some form. But, I mean, your thoughts on all of the, you know, meetings that have been held so far, and, of course, what Sheikh Gumi just said.
Well, I mean, the intelligent point is that, look, when government is fighting terrorism, you are dealing with asymmetrical war. Mm-hmm. It's not that the enemy is wearing a uniform. It's not that the enemy has a particular location. So whether for the Nigerian government or for the American government or any other government, you know, an asymmetrical war requires a different kind of approach.
Yes.
A different kind of method. And that is why there is even a whole broad level of conversation about international cooperation. Because terrorism poses a threat to the whole of humanity. So there can be collaboration, but at the government level, there must also be something about what your government is doing. Mm-hmm. And that's why some Nigerians argue that, look, at the end of the day, it's the Nigerian government that will find the solution, because we're the ones that are directly affected. Right. No. And the Nigerian government must be seen to be doing what it must do.
Yes.
Now President Tinubu says, we are ready to get help from anywhere, and we are committed. Everybody should be safe in Nigeria. That is the objective. It is also so stated in Section 14, Sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution. Now, there are many views about what is going on in Nigeria. Now, the National Security Advisor meeting with his opposite number, Pete Hegseth, and both countries saying they will work together.
They'll work together.
That's also very good optics. And both countries can talk, which was a point that Sarah Jacobs, you know, was making, which was a point that some of the Congress people in the U.S. were saying. You have to consult the Nigerian government and work together to deal with what is actually a global problem. All right. Now, you cited the example of Bishop Reverend Dachomo. Now, Reverend Dachomo is a Christian leader. You cannot expect him, you know, not to say, oh, there is an issue with religious persecution. The problem is with the use of the expression Christian genocide. Mm-hmm. Now, the position of government is that even Muslims are being persecuted in this country. And that's why I say the bottom line is to make the environment secure. Bishop Anagbe, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi, was at the congressional hearing in the U.S. He even painted a more, you know, disturbing picture than Reverend Dachomo. So, as they say, he who feels it knows it.
All right.
And if you ask Muslims to also tell about their experience, and we have been on this issue since 2009, the Nigerian government is not able to solve the problem.
All right.
Now that it is on the table, it is for the Nigerian government to realize that what President Tinubu was saying yesterday should not stop at the level of rhetoric.
All right.
Government must do its job.
Right.
In the best interest.
We have said government must do its job like maybe 50 times already.
Well, we'll say it again tomorrow.
We keep saying it every day.